Hey guys, so it's been a little bit since my last video, and that's just because I wasn't feeling drawn to any topic to do a video on, to be honest. And then this morning I was playing around with my tarot and oracle cards, and it just hit me that I wanted to make a video. So this is not in any way, shape, or form instructional. I am not a master at all of tarot or oracle cards. I am just starting my journey with both. I've been working with oracle cards, this deck right here in particular, for over a year now, but I only have 2 decks so far, and I kind of let it on the shelf for a while and just recently picked it back up, and I just got my very first ever tarot deck about a month ago, and I've been learning the cards and learning that system. So I thought it would be nice. I think most of the videos on this subject on YouTube are very done by people who were really seasoned in working with them, and I am definitely not. So this is more of a beginner's perspective and my thoughts on the 2 different divination tools. And I think it would be cool to like sort of document my journey with them, share it with YouTube community, and then if anybody else is just starting out too, you may relate to some of the things that I have to say. Okay, so I'm gonna start with like the difference in my my perception of the difference between the 2. So these are both oracle decks. This one is, I got this one in New York City, Magical Messages of the Fairies, and this is by Doreen Virtue. She has quite a lot of oracle decks. This one, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about this one. I'm big into fairies, which is why I got it, but I got it kind of on a whim in a bookstore. Didn't put any, let me try and get back for you with this camera. I feel like I have the camera as far away as I can. I didn't, research it beforehand. It wasn't on a wish list. It was just, I bought it on a whim. I use this as a 1-card draw. Sometimes just when the mood strikes me to draw a card, maybe in the morning or before I go to bed. And I will sometimes use a 1-card draw from this deck to add to another spread that I've done with the other oracle cards or with the tarot, and I find it sometimes helpful with that. I don't know, I think fairy energy can be really sometimes hard to decipher. I think that fairy messages are a little whimsical a lot of the time, and that's my perception of like fae energy anyway. It's very whimsical and kind of flighty. I mean, they really, the idea of fairies is that they understand, but their messages are sort of what's the word, almost like you have to figure it out and decipher. It's not really straightforward. So the kind of problem I have then with this Magical Messages of the Fairies is that these cards are very direct. So this one, see, says, patience please, and that smoke is from an incense. And then it has this at the bottom, which I feel like if this wasn't there, I really don't like oracle cards that have like a sentence at the bottom. A lot of the ones, I have probably 20 oracle decks on my Amazon wish list, at least. And I tend to like the ones that are a little more vague, that let you sort of have more room for intuitive read with it. I really love the ones that will have like the actual card meaning at the top, and then just keywords at the bottom or that sort of thing. And the next deck, the one I've been working with for a year and really love and have a great connection with, is really sort of like that. This is just so like direct and to the point that I have a hard time with them. But they have given me some messages with a 1-card read, even if not just that particular drawing was kind of like, what are you, how, what? Maybe the next day I drew another one and the two connected. And then, a week later, I drew like the same card. That's happened to me with this deck. I was getting, let me see if I can find it. I kept drawing the same card over and over and over. And I'm like, I got this one. It wasn't even hard to find. This card. Admit your true feelings to yourself. I guess this makes sense in my life right now, sort of. Yeah. It didn't a few weeks ago or a few months ago when I started getting it and it was coming up all the time. But now it does. Now it does. For sure. So they're a little... Even though they're like... It's hard because they're abstract. The messages they give, I feel like, are abstract, but the wording is detailed and specific, so it's kind of an imbalance for me, but some other people may find them amazing to work. The artwork is stunning. That was one of the reasons I was happy to get them, because I just felt like the artwork was just absolutely gorgeous, and it is, and I like them, and I will continue to work with these. I'll maybe work a little more on, I cleared them and blessed them, of course, when I first got them, but I think I may ask them some specific questions about the deck itself. Meaning, I was watching some videos last night on Oracle decks and using them and reading them, and one of the things, and I wish I could remember so I could give her credit, but there was a video where she said that when she gets a new deck, she asks the deck specific questions about itself. What kind of deck are you? Are you and I going to have a good relationship? That sort of thing. I wrote them down, and I think that that's amazing, because I think the thing, and this is one of the big parts of the differences of tarot and oracle, I think that there's the different oracle decks can be so different. They don't follow the same method and what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like it's different than the tarot, in that they're so individual, and I think it's awesome to have a collection. And I'm not a big collector type person just for the sake of collecting, but I love, and I get frequent obsessions with collecting things that are useful. I'm not one to collect things just to let them sit on a shelf, but I like to collect crystals and things like that, useful things. I'm a total book hound. I'm a journal hound. I really collect those things, but I use them. So that's really how I feel about oracle cards. I think that there's so many different types, and they all have their own sort of energy. Tarot too, depending on the artist, has its own energy surrounding it, of course, but it's just such a firm system. All tarot decks follow the same system. And oracle decks just are so different that I think it's awesome to have a nice, almost library of oracle cards. And then you can choose which deck to work with based on your question, or, just what it is that you're using them for, whatever your inquiry is. So that's why I'm really getting into collecting them, and I have quite a few on my wish list, and I will get them all one at a time. I think I'm going to order one tomorrow that I've been wanting for a while, and really get going on growing my collection, because I've been working with just this one deck, and then, like I said, I pull one of these every once in a while, but I don't work with it. I don't do spreads because they're just so, it's almost impossible to do a spread with this deck. It's really difficult for me anyway. But this deck, this is the, I'll show you the box. This is a very, very popular Oracle deck. It's Earth Magic by Stephen Former. This, when I first got this, I knew I wanted an Oracle deck. I was, this is a good point to make for kind of my introduction to, you know, a series of my journey with these divination tools. When I was first learning about, I'll kind of flip through these. And you guys, a lot of you have probably seen these. There's a lot of review videos on these. They're a very popular deck, but I'll just kind of show you them as I ramble. In my initial studies of Wicca, witchcraft, paganism, when, you know, divination gets brought up a lot, and I didn't have any interest whatsoever in any form of divination. It took me a long time to understand what divination was. I always saw it before as fortune telling. That's all it ever, you know, meant to me in my, you know, pre-pagan life, especially when I was a strict Christian. I just thought it was fortune telling, and it was a bunch of just complete rubbish. When I came to understand the importance of it and how it really helps you dig down into your subconscious, into your psyche, and, you know, the meaning of the word divination, it's connecting with the divine. And, you know, that was a stumbling block for me too, because I still consider myself an atheist, but I was a very strict atheist for a while, and I didn't feel like there was a divine energy to even connect with. So I've let some of that starkness go, and that'll be a topic for another video that I'll do, maybe even tonight or tomorrow. I want to do a review on a book, 2 books actually by the same author, but the one book just was really life-changing for me, and I just recently finished it, which is, and part of that is what sort of has prompted me to get really back into using divination. So yes, I decided that it was time to get a divination tool, and I immediately felt drawn to try oracle cards. I felt like that they were very unintrusive, very positive, and just kind of general, not so much like, you know, I still had a lot of kind of negative connotations and associations with tarot, so I felt like oracle cards were different than that, just lighter in a way. That's probably the best way I can describe it. I don't feel that way anymore. Well, not really, sort of. Anyway, I'll get into that. But I decided that oracle cards were definitely the way to go for me to start with divination, so I just went myself on Amazon and typed in oracle cards, and this deck is very popular, so it was one of the first decks to show up, and I was immediately just drawn to it. I'm very my spiritual practice has always been and always will be very earthy, very earthy, and very nature-based. So earth magic, of course, and then the images on these cards being so all about nature. They're very and they're almost like shamanistic. I don't know. Yeah, just earthy, like, you know, that sort of thing. It's Gaia. How gorgeous is this? Some of these images are just so captivatingly stunning. Like, I do spreads with these cards, and I'm done and it's complete, and I've gotten my message from it, and I'm fully satisfied that I understand the message, and I've journaled it, and it's time to put the cards away, and I don't want to put them away because they're just so beautiful and so meaningful that I just want to let them sit there. But of course I want them to be protected, so they get put away. But yeah, it's hard to put them away because they're just so amazing. I find these to be extremely accurate. Like, the energy around these cards is just absolutely phenomenal. It's so positive and it just very much reminds me of like meditation and grounding. Yeah. So this card comes up for me a lot. It always has ever since I got the deck. It was always like in almost every spread, and it still continues to be in a lot of them. And it makes sense to where I'm at in my path now. But like I said, that's going to be the next video. So yeah, this is the Earth Magic Oracle deck. As I said, it's very popular. You can look up reviews on it. I love the full moon card too. To get more into detail, I'm not really doing like a review of this deck per se, other than to say that I have been working with it on and off for a year. It is always accurate, whether I'm doing a reading for myself or others. I still struggle a bit with doing readings for others in general. I tend to kind of read them really intuitively, so I'm self-readings. I mean, I can lay out the cards, look at them all, and be like, whoa. I just get like the overall message right away, and with other people it's a little more difficult, but I'm getting there. But I'm finding these to be very, very accurate and intense, and they dig deep, and they make you dig deep, and they're beautiful, and they just have this gorgeous presence around them. Like, look at the shaman, he's just amazing. They just have a fantastic energy to them, and I love them. And I will, no matter how many Oracle decks I collect and use and work with over the years, this will always be like my baby. You know, first one I ever bought, of course, first divination tool I ever bought, but also just like, they're just so special. They're so special. They're just absolutely magical. So Oracle cards in general, I feel like they have a kind of motherly energy around them. And sort of in contrast or in conjunction, however way you want to look at it, I feel like the tarot has more of the crone energy, if that makes sense. Tarot just, to me, seems so just ancient and wise and direct and to the point. And the Oracle cards just are a little more, tend to be, even the darker ones, some of the darker ones, and I'm going to get some darker ones because I really want to get heavy into some shadow work, because signs are pointing in that direction that that's something needed for me. So I'm going to get some darker Oracle decks. They're on my list. But even the dark ones still have this, they just, to me, have this energy of allowing you the freedom to take your interpretation of your reading and kind of run with it where you need to go, if that makes sense. It's almost like Oracle decks to me are like getting a hug. Whereas tarot, I feel like, is getting a lecture almost. Not a lecture, no, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it's just so heavy on the information kind of thing, tarot, for where the Oracle cards are, that's the best way I can think to describe it, is it's like getting a hug. And I don't mean that in a fluffy bunny kind of way. I just mean it's a very soothing process. I'm very soothed by Oracle decks. Like I said, even the dark ones, because they can pull up stuff that you need to pull up. Maybe you need a good cry or something, you know, but that is this, and then you get, you know, that's beneficial emotionally. I think that's a big thing too. There's a good word, emotion. I feel like, of course, there's a lot of emotion involved in tarot. It's a big part of our lives, and tarot is about every aspect of our lives. So of course, you know, I mean, there's a suit of cups, but I feel like Oracle cards are very, just overall in general, emotional, very much so. And that would be the difference in where I feel like tarot is, like I said, more kind of like instructional. So this is the one and only tarot deck that I have so far, and I just recently got it, and I think I showed in my haul video, like, you know, the week I got it. This is the Gilded Tarot, and I wish that it actually had gold sides, being that that's what it's called. But this is the back, and I got this deck because it came with came with this book. This is not just your typical book that comes with a deck, or even the nice, usually thick books that tend to come with Oracle decks. This is this is an instruction manual for learning the tarot. And that's why I chose to get this one, because it came as a set, and I'm just so with just starting out, I figured, I mean, an easy tarot handbook. It just seemed like it was going to be to my benefit as a good starting place. And they're really nice. They're really nice. So they have this gold, you know, the black border, and then each card has a gold border, and then, you know, the color for the element or the number, depending on the card. But they're pretty, they're nice, and the images are, you know, pretty traditional. They didn't really go out on a limb with this, because they wanted it to, you know, be a good foundation for understanding. But I think the images are really complex and beautiful, and that's the neighbor's cat meowing, not mine. I don't know what his deal is. But I like this deck. I'm not having any troubles whatsoever. I mean, I think this is a fantastic deck for learning the cards, learning spreads, learning to do readings. I really, really like it a lot. I will say that I picked up, when I first got this Oracle deck, I picked it up immediately. I mean, I was able to do readings for myself, like, instantly. I mean, I read through the beginning of the book that came with it, and went through each card, consecrated, you know, that sort of thing, and went right at it, which is what you can tend to do with Oracle cards. They tend to be pretty direct. You just, you know, put them down, intuitively read them, or read the book. Tarot is obviously a lot more complex. It's a system. And I'm not, see, this book gives you, I don't have my camera at the right angle again, hold on. This book gives you a meaning for each card, and she starts with the minor arcana, where a lot of systems will start with the major, and I have picked up, you know, so far I feel fairly confident in my understanding of the minor arcana. I do. I understand. Well, yeah. I mean, I do. I think that I have, you know, somewhat of a grasp on it in general, and I understand the concept behind tarot. All, you know, again, just in general, I feel like I've gotten that far. I am finding the process of learning tarot slightly frustrating, and I think that that's just me, though. I tend to be someone who, if I'm really into something, I mean, I have no problem with really researching and learning and being dedicated. I'm very much that kind of a person who goes intense at something that I'm all about. But I tend to not have a lot of patience, and I tend to, if I don't see some kind of strong results from my efforts of devotion fairly quickly, I tend to get frustrated really fast, really easily, and kind of be done with it, and just, you know, not that it's too hard, but it's hard, and I'm just not into it enough to fight through the difficulties that I'm experiencing. I'm not at that point with tarot right now. Not yet anyway, and I don't think I will be. I think I will continue to, because I think it's an important, not necessarily important, but I think it's a very strong divination tool, and that there's a lot of benefits to learning and using it. And I am drawn to it. I wouldn't have, I mean, I was pretty happy with just having Oracle cards for, you know, for over a year, and something drew me to get tarot. I was never interested in it. I thought I would never get a deck, that I would be fine with, you know, getting some readings from other people or whatever, but I didn't think I would ever get one. I love this card for the moon on these. And then something just kind of prompted me to. And I still feel that way. And like I have a lot of Oracle decks on my Amazon wish list, but I also have some tarot, not quite as many as Oracle, because I still feel a much stronger connection with Oracle cards in general right now than I do with tarot, but I'm getting there and I want to continue to work with them. I think my frustration with them, I feel like I have a good handle on the meaning of each card. I just get a little caught up in, and it's probably, again, it's just me, because I tend to be very like perfectionist and and I don't like wishy-washy things, and not that the tarot is ever wishy-washy at all. I think it's very straightforward. However, you know, sometimes a card can mean one thing. Each card has kind of multiple meanings that have to be read within the context of the surrounding cards. The question asks, the spread as a whole. And that's where I get kind of, it's like a lot of information in my head at once. I really like, you know, kind of black and white, and Oracle cards are even more kind of abstract in that sense. But at least you know what you're getting. With the tarot, it's like there is a really specific message in there, and you're trying to find it. And I sometimes get a little frustrated. Not always. I had a really good self-reading this morning, where the spread I did made a lot of sense, and it connected with what I'm going to talk about in my next video when I do the book review, which I probably will do tonight because it's just on my mind. But anyway, so I'm making sense of my self-readings. It can be a little tricky though, because I'm feeling like I'm doing kind of what I do with Oracle cards and just looking at the layout, the spread as a whole, and reading it intuitively, which is fantastic and great, but I could never give a reading to somebody else that way, because like it's almost like I can't verbalize it. Like I'll look at the cards and go, yep. But like to verbalize what it means, like if I were to, and you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm, you know, out to, definitely it's not like, you know, my intention to be a professional reader. It's not my intention anyway. I mean, you never know what could happen. But you know, I think you can get a little bit of trouble reading. I mean, tarot is really useful for self-development, but it's hard to be objective, you know. And I agree. And then it's hard to verbalize, and then I'm trying to journal you know, the spreads and my interpretations of them, and that gets tricky because I'm having to put words on paper versus just like a cohesive idea in my head. So that's where I'm struggling with the tarot. That's where I'm at right now. But it is my intention to continue plugging along on my tarot journey, and continue and get a few more decks. And maybe that might be a thing too. Maybe I will get a deck that I will just feel absolutely connected with, and that will be kind of my ticket. But as of right now, I feel a much stronger pull towards Oracle cards, and just the energy that surrounds Oracle cards in general is kind of my thing right now. So I would say I'm using Oracle cards at the moment for personal development and learning tarot. So that's where I'm at in my personal journey of divination. And I think it's a really great idea to kind of, you know, to keep recording videos and keep showing, you know, the progress and progression that I've made in my journey. Maybe, who knows, maybe months from now I'll have put the tarot down for a little while, and I'll be showing you guys tons of Oracle cards and things like that. Or the complete opposite. Maybe I'll have that spark and that ignite with tarot and really connect with it and just be all gung-ho about it. But I'm going to record my journey and share it with you all. And if there's anybody watching this who's really seasoned with tarot in particular, that can maybe offer any insight with the part, you know, how and why I'm struggling with it, just, you know, anything, just that's normal, keep going, or, you know, whatever. I am all ears. And if you're also someone who is kind of at the same place I am, where you're just sort of starting out, I'd love you to leave a comment and let me know your experiences so far, or if you haven't picked up either an oracle or a tarot deck, but you're thinking about it, you know, leave a comment. So yes, I will be back for my next video really soon, which is going to be a book review and really talking about the topic of goddess universal energy. That is coming up next. And so yeah, thanks for watching. Everybody have a great day, and blessed be.